So for this update, I'm going to show you here that the coal dump trestle from the old layout's been removed. New benchwork has been added, and this is the final stretch of benchwork that needed to be built. I started working on the backdrop in here, but I'm doing here before I continue is I'm checking the slope of the hill that's going to be here for the new coal dump trestle. And I just have some boxes piled up here that'll represent the height of the main line that comes along, and then the trestle will be out here. And I'm checking this slope, and unfortunately what I'm getting is that the slope is not steep enough. And what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to lower this benchwork section here and this piece right here that you can see I've already lowered. And why that's unfortunate is what seems like it'd be easy is I built this little kind of L girder on here that holds up the backdrop as well. And I'm going to probably have to take off this back piece here and screw those down onto there. And unfortunately, all of those joints are glued and screwed, so busting them apart is going to be a little bit of a process. So I'll have to do that. I'm just afraid that I won't get the right slope and the trestle bents won't be tall enough. It was the same problem I had in the old layout. I never really thought about this slope here, and it really needs to be steeper than that. It needs to come down like this, and it needs to end up down that low. So I'll have to change that, and of course the hole in the end of the thing here is in the wrong place. So I'm going to have to take that hole and move it over there. And then I can put the backdrop panel in there and get the backdrop images ordered. If we come up around in here though, you can see that all the backdrops and cliff top here are put in, and I've got just some of the mock-up structures I used. Also here I set the strip tipple that I built over about where it's going to be. Just kind of playing around with how the track's going to come through here. I won't be using foam in here. I'll be using more of the Homosote spline. So I'm going to start out by kind of plotting. I got a brace there. I'm swinging that corner a little bit wider, so I'm going to have to nip off that brace in there and move it over here. But I'll come through here and I'll mark out on these boards here where the main line's going to go. And I'm going to start this time by doing 2 splines, and I'm just going to run it all the way along, and it'll just be the main line. Come around here, come by the car shop, and then I'll go down and end it over there. And then from those 2 splines, I'll build off all the sidings. That'll be up in this area. Now, if we walk around down to the Landisburg area here, I also put the drywall around the edge here. Now I got that all framed in, and I'll have to put the corners on and mud all this in. But if we come up here, you can see I've started the process of blending in this old road bed with the new, and you can see how sharp those corners are down there. And so there's more rail pulled up, and I'm going to pull off this cork road bed back to here somewhere, and then run those more straight and try to meet up with these lines I drew here. You can see that crazy piece of plywood I cut to kind of fill this in. You know, it's really a lot of work sometimes to blend in these old pieces, and I'm kind of getting to the point on this one where I'm thinking, boy, it'd just be better off to not use it. But there's a lot of turnouts in here that look really nice, and I'm just going to give it a little bit more effort here to get these pieces put together and cut little pieces in here. And what I'm thinking about doing is just basically gluing and screwing all this together, and then when that's all dry, skim coat this with some automotive Bondo, and then just belt sand it all off nice and smooth, and see if I can get that to blend in here. But one of the differences up in here is that I'm making a slight change from the 3D, or from the little miniature model. Is I'm actually going to use this turnout. Originally in the last update I said I'm going to remove this and turn it around, and that'll go over to the drying yard. But at Landisburg there was 3 tracks that went by the company store, and I was going to put the company store down in here. But if I take these 3 tracks right here and swing these out, you can kind of see I've got a bit of a curve coming here. I can put the company store down in here facing the tracks like it did. The depth is not quite as deep as I wanted it to be, but I can shorten those structures up and kind of keep the width the same. And I think they'll still look pretty good. I think they'll be like a really deep backdrop flat. And originally I said I wasn't going to have any flat buildings, but I think here, because there were so many buildings in a row and the little ones are on the end, I could kind of trick the eye into making it look like they're all full depth buildings here. Now there is another turnout in here that I technically wouldn't need, but I think I might just leave it on there and just kind of curve this track off and just have it just stop here. I don't know what I'd use it for. It wasn't prototype, but you know, the whole thing is not exactly prototype because the trains are even going the wrong way. But um, I'll find something to use for that because it's already in there. It's already got a switch machine. It's already got a decoder on it. It's already wired. Worst comes to worst, if I don't use it, I'll just take the rails out and I'll just leave it like it's an abandoned turnout. Pull the switch machine off it and spike the points all the way over that way. But what'll happen here is this turnout with this really sharp curve is going to be angled more that way, and this will be taken and go more that way a little bit, and this curve will be going just a little bit more that way. I think that this frog is just enough in the right spot that I can take this curve and just kind of go straight, almost make this like a curved Y, like this will go off and kind of blend in that way, and then this one will just kind of go off and maybe go behind a shed here or something. I don't know. We'll figure out something for it. But you can see I got the hole cut there, and I'm going to get these in here. I just got to go get a piece of plywood to lay in here. Now this is all done on cork because the last layout I did was 3/4 inch plywood with cork, and the new one is just 1.5 inch Homo Salt splines. So what I'm going to do to blend this is when I come along here on this last stretch here after the last turnout is I'll end the cork roadbed right about here, and then I'm going to actually use some 1/4 inch plywood, and I'm going to run it up through that hole, and I'll use a piece of flex track on here because that'll be hidden anyways. But the 3/4 inch ply, or the 1/4 inch plywood will match up with the cork. And then what I'm going to do is after it leaves onto here, I'm going to keep ramping it up till it's 1.5 inches high. And then I'll kind of fill underneath it with something to kind of stabilize the whole thing. And then by the time it hits the Homo Salt splines again, I'll switch back to hand spiking it. So that track that's coming around to Landisburg will actually be dropping on a slight grade to meet up with this level here. And that's where I'm off to now, is to get some of the stuff to make this happen and get this all screwed in here, and glue this while I'm gone so that it kind of dries. I'm putting this 1/4 inch piece of plywood underneath here, and I'll clamp all this, and then I'll back it with another 3/4 inch piece. And I know that sounds strange why I'm doing that, but the reason what's going on here is there's a board underneath here that's actually screwed straight down from here, and I can't get at the screws to get rid of it. So to make them all meet up, I got to use a piece of 1/4 inch to get the level right. Then I can use 3/4 inch to make it stronger. And it's just a big mess. But it's just this one spot. If I kind of stick with it and spend a little extra effort here, I know I can get this all blended in, and then we'll have one extra track in here. It means removing the one little teeny coal mine I was going to have here, but that little coal mine was only going to take 2 cars anyways, and I'll still preserve the big one down there. And in the space that's right here along this curve, I'll make the start of the log pond, and then what will happen is a little stream will come out here, so the lead track to the drying yard will still cross that little stream, but it'll actually maybe have like a little dam right here and open up into a log pond there. And this will just be a simulated log dump track here. It won't really go anywhere, and I'll have to try to use something down here to hide the eye or hide the track play some tricks on the eye. Maybe I'll have something elevator over the top. I don't know. We'll kind of cross that bridge when we get there. But that's it for this update. Gonna go get that stuff, fix this up, get that backdrop finished after I lower that bench work, and then we'll probably be on to doing roadbed again.